Okay, well, this is our Q&A session for March 21st, 2024. I'm going to show you what our Wild Ones, just give you a little overview of the Wild Ones website, and then we'll move to somebody else who will be doing the same. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay. This is our chapter's website. You see at the top the name dupage.wildones.org. You can get to that by typing that in your browser. And I would suggest doing what I did and make it a bookmark so that you can get to it anytime. And you might wonder, well, why would I want to get to it anytime? And that's what you're going to learn in just a couple minutes. Right here is something called My Membership. If you are a member and you click on that, you would log in. If you didn't have a login already, you would create one with your email address and a password that you choose. Once you've created that, it should be easy to get to just by remembering what your login is. It will tell you when your membership expires for one, and it'll also allow you to renew it online if it's coming up for renewal. You might also find out that it expired, in which case you can just renew it and they'll start you up from when you do that. This first page talks a little bit about our organization and general information. On the side here, on the right side, says get our e-newsletter. You already all get that because you're on this meeting and you clicked on the link that came in our newsletter. But new people go here just because they find us through Google search or whatever, and we get maybe 3 or 4 or 5 new subscribers every week, about an average of 1 a day maybe. And then there's upcoming events of our chapter and national organization events. And beneath that is other events of interest that are not Wild Ones related, but they could be information that you would like to know. Scrolling down, there's some nice pictures, by the way. There's a section called check out our new Take a Hike. I'm going to click on that. And you have noticed in the past 2 newsletters, we've had an article about a suggested hike that you could take in DuPage County that you could do at that time of year, because that's when Pat Hayden takes these hikes. And then she writes a little blurb that goes in the newsletter, which is right here. But in that newsletter, there's also a link that takes you to a much more extensive talk about her hike and photos that she took while she was on it. So these are on our website after the newsletter comes out. So each month a new one will be added to it. And you can go back during the year and say, oh, I wonder what this looks like in the summer. And you can click on there and you can find out the map where it is and whatnot. I'm wondering how many people have gone on a hike. And I wish I knew how to use the voting thing, but I don't for this. If you put in the chat, if you've taken a hike, go ahead and put your name and say, I went on one. or two. I'm hopeful that other people will take advantage of these particular recommended hikes, and then provide feedback via email. You can just reply to our newsletter, for example, uh, and let us know what you think of it, because we'll continue that take a hike column each month till the end of the year, and then we'll take a little survey and see if people thought that was useful or not. Now, navigating through our webpage, home, of course, is our the main page. Events tells you about events coming up, past events. If they're recorded, you can find them here. Resources, we're going to have a couple people talk about some resources under this section, so that's coming up. There's a section on all sorts of photos that you might find interesting. It's activities, and it's also things people have submitted to us as photos they thought were interesting. Join has to do with joining as a membership or renewing it. I want to point out the volunteer section. The very first, this talks about several organizations looking for volunteers with natural area stuff that you might be interested if you're looking to help volunteer with anything. But the very first one is us. And we're always looking for volunteers to help our chapter run things. So if you would be interested in helping us out, click right here and send us an email with your contact information and what you might be interested in, or if you have open interest, we'll let you know what are some things that you could do for us. Partners talks about the DuPage Monarch Project, which we are a member of, and you will hear many things about the DuPage Monarch Project in the coming year. And if you just want to send us an email, you could just go to contact us and click right there. At this point, I'm going to swing it over to Nanette, who will talk about resources that we have on our website and associated websites on how to select plants, which people are always interested in knowing. So Nanette, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Selecting native plants can be difficult, whether you're an experienced gardener or not. So what I want to do is show you some of the resources we have on the Wild Ones website, and then take you to 3 different websites. 2 are specifically can help you with more pictures and information, and the third one will actually have kits and provide layouts. So if you're not really an experienced gardener, you say, I don't know anything about even how to lay out the plants, they can give you little short diagrams and designs of where to put the plants for enclosed in those kits. So I'm going to start with the Wild Ones website where Rich was, and I'm going to go to resources and specifically handouts. There are 3 handouts that are relatively new. I'm going to start with native plants for DuPage County. This will show you, let's see if I can make this a little larger. There we go. These are all plants that are suitable for DuPage County. And of course, we have a lot of clay soils and challenging weather at times. And this is only a partial list, but this is to help you get some general ideas And it is about the beginning. The first page is about perennial forbs or flowers. On one column, we've got sun, and another we have part shade to shade. So let's say you already have some plants in your garden and you just want something that's short for up front or a little spot by some rocks. Here are some choices you could use. These are short up to 18 inches. We put them by common name and then Latin name. Medium-sized plants, different types of milkweeds you could put, and tall. Same with shade, part shade to shade. There are a couple of plants that you will see. Let's look under sun, medium, blue lobelia. Afterwards, it'll say moist soil. So things that specifically needed moist soil, we added that to that. On the second page are grasses and sedges. Again, sun or shade to part shade, still short, medium, tall, to give you ideas. Now, these aren't just lists. There's no pictures, so there's nothing more than saying sun, shade, short, or tall. We also have books, some great books, as well as some wonderful websites. All right, that's native plants. Going to go back now. If you want to, let's say you're interested specifically in attracting butterflies. We have one on nectar and host plants. A lot of people don't realize that nectar plants is great, but you also want to have larval plants to keep the butterflies around in your yard and keep the population going. Again, these are for butterflies that are be found in DuPage County, as well as plants that will grow. We'll list the butterfly on the left-hand side, larval plants for those, nectar plants, anything to choose from. And on the second page, we have books and websites. And of course, we're listing also the DuPage Monarch Project, which Rich said we are partners in. And I highly recommend anybody who's interested in any pollinators, visit the Xerces, which is our last website here. That's an excellent source for any information, butterflies, or any type of pollinator. Our last handout is specifically on plants, trees, and shrubs. These are for birds. If you're trying to attract birds, of course, you're going to want to have water, a water source in your yard year round, but you also might want to choose specific trees or shrubs or other things. So for trees, of course, they're providing shelter, nesting sites, and food. And we've listed common names, Latin names, and the food they're provided, whether it be nectar, seeds, a fruit, caterpillars that are specific to that tree, shrubs. And on the second page, flowers or forbs, and of course, grasses, some vines, and then I make a notation again about water. All right, that is the specific resources that are available to you on the Wild Ones website. That just gave you names again. But to learn some more, let's go to Midwest Ground Covers. This is their website. I'm going to take you through. We'll start at the plant library. I'm going to do an advanced search. And let's look for some native forbs because I want some flowers for my garden. Now realize if you saw something on one of those resources, you could put the word in here. You could put, butterfly weed or purple prairie coneflower or echinacea, whatever in there. You could do a search that way. But again, I'm going to take this the long way around. So native forms, we're our hardiness zone of 5. I'm not going to choose height or width because I really want to see what's available to them. And let's choose just our soil moisture. And let's say dry. And there's all their kinds of choices. You can choose a color, your light condition. You want to attract wildlife, whether it be critter resistant. You need to divide it, what have you. But I'm going to keep this general and I'm going to apply filter. And it gave me 54 results. And here it gives me choices. Well, here's a beautiful picture. and they're going to tell you height, width, soil conditions, bloom time, as well as a link for more information. Let's look at this plantain leaf pussy toes, just because that's kind of a fun plant. Let's click on more information, and it gives you a couple of different pictures. There's a close-up or the general growth habit. And then down below, it will give you more information about that specific plant. Like it's dry, it grows slow, the single form, the flower size, the height, where its native plant community is, dry prairie type of a thing. So that's very helpful. And there are beautiful photographs to help you decide what you want. But again, you could go by that height. I only have X number, of space type of a thing. All right. Our second place is Possibility Place. They grow native plants. I'm going to shop plants. I'm going to look at their full catalog because this is a similar search. Again, we're searching just native plants. Let's choose some grasses this time. And again, I'm going to say, medium. So I want grasses for medium. And maybe I have full sun. And then I'm going to see what it automatically goes to. So we have a lot of different choices here. Great pictures. And let's choose one of my personal favorites, which is Northern Prairie Dropseed. This is an excellent grass. Doesn't get very tall. See, grasses gets about 3 feet tall, maximum 4 feet wide. That's a really, I don't generally find them quite that large. And it will also give you additional pictures to see. They form these little hummocks or tussocks. This is what it looks like in the spring. And there's a beautiful mature plant. And the seed heads smell like buttered popcorn when they're blooming. It's quite wonderful. And that's what it looks like in the winter. And some little sun and water droplets on there. So this would be a good choice if I wanted something shorter, maybe between a couple of driveway spaces where you have a 3 foot space and you can't have anything too tall, and you want something that's durable. That would be a good choice. And then our last, and this again was just one of many choices. There were many ways to select. Our last site is Prairie Moon Nursery. Now they sell native seeds as well as they sell plants too. And one of the unique things about this site, I'm going to go right up to plants. I'm going to select a garden kit. What if you just find gardening too overwhelming and you really want somebody to take the mystery out of it all? All right. Let's say you want a garden kit. All the plants are there for you. All of these are garden kits. I'm going to look at one, for example. Here we have the bee's knees. It gives you 36 plants. They're sold to you in little plug trays. Let's look at the components. It has all these different plants, and it even gives you a diagram. Here is a 12 by 7 foot garden. And you can see here, it's telling you where to put them. And these are obviously 1 foot squares. So you could say, even my husband could do this. Or for the husbands, they could say, my wife would love this type of a thing. This is just one example. They have them for rain gardens. I'm going to look at this pollinator garden here. Again, let's look at what you get. This is a plug tray. Notice you'll have 38 plants in this plug tray. All are individually labeled, so there's no question whatsoever. Every one of these is going to give you a diagram. So there's no question as to what you get and where you put it for an ideal situation. Because sometimes when we get plants, people will mistakenly say, oh, I really like this. And when you bought it, it's a little plant, it's already blooming, so you think you can put it in front, but maybe it really should go in the back more. So as you can see here, we have rain gardens, understory patch kit. Here, let's look at that one. Even though it says sold out, I'm just using it as an example. Again, this is coming in already put together. These plants are already growing. They're all labeled. We can see additional pictures. So you want to see, well, I'm not sure if I know what those plants look like. Here, this will give you additional pictures of what the plants ideally look like, so you can get a better idea of what it could look like in your garden. Righty, once again, we went to Midwest Ground Covers, Possibility Place, and Prairie Moon Nursery. Righty, and if anyone has any questions on those, I'll be happy to answer those. Stop sharing this moment.
Go ahead and unmute yourself if you would like to ask Nanette a question.
Midwest and Possibility Place wholesale operations?
Yes, they are. And the reason I put those in there is for two reasons. One, I think they have excellent websites for information, photographs, and information about plants, but also those are the two main suppliers for the native plant sales, which Wendy is going to be talking about in just a few minutes.
Actually,
So
Nanette,
go ahead.
Possibility Place will sell to retail. Well,
Yes, they
sell
will.
retail.
Yes, they will sell to the public. You can place an order online. But they're kind of far to go to get them. But there are many. They and Midwest Ground Covers are big suppliers of our native plant sales throughout Northern Illinois. Any other questions?
If you don't have questions now, that's okay. There's also the rest of the meeting to ask them.
That's right.
Next is Wendy, who's going to show you, now that you can research plants, can talk to you how you can get them this spring through plant sales or nearby nurseries. So Wendy.
Okay, so under resources, you'll see that we have a native plant sales page. So if you just click on it, you'll get the list of our 2024 native plant sales. And the plant sales consist of those that are pre-order only, some that are in person only, and then some that are both. They have both pre-order and in-person sales. So the plant sales page is ordered by date. So if you're looking for pre-orders, you'll find these listed either by the date that ordering begins or when it ends, depending on the dates that are provided by a specific plant sale organization. And so, so here you can just, the ones at the top are going to be mostly for pre-ordering. And then for the ones that have plant in-person sales, they'll be listed by date of the sale. So as you head down, you'll start to see, more of the specific plant sale in-person sales. And then if there's both pre-sales and in-person sales, you'll see two listings for those kinds of sales. So each sale on our page should have a link to a specific, if you just, there'll be a link under the name and you can just click on it and it'll bring you to the main page and give you information about that sale. And then we have a brief description and we try to list, where you would pick up the order or where the the plant sale actually takes place. I want to point out that you should check back often to this page because we we try to, as more sales become available, we add them to this page. The sales typically take place in spring and in the fall. There's some in the summer too. And so far, we really don't have most of the fall sales. The information isn't available yet for those, but most of the spring sales are in here. So one main tip, if you're pre-ordering, you should order as soon as you can to get your best selection. And if a plant sale is in person, you should try to arrive as early as you can on the day of the sale to get the best selection. So I tend to shop at a variety of sales for different reasons. I find that I can't usually get everything that I want from one specific sale. I think that favorite sales will be different for each person depending on how you like to shop and what plants you're looking for and where you live. I get excited at this time of year and I really enjoy taking a look at all the plant sales on this list to see what they have to offer because they can change from year to year. And for me, my main preference is I like to pre-order so that I can have a better chance of getting what I like and so that I can plan my gardens better for the year. And I'll share with you my two favorite places to order a pre-order from. The first one is Citizens for Conservation. Their deadline this year is April 15th. So there's this one here. And then I also like the Schaumburg one for pre-ordering, and their deadline is April 19th. And for me, it's just because they have a big selection of plants to choose from. And they're in an area where I can get to. It's not too bad for me to drive to. And then even though I like to pre-order, I still like to attend in-person sales. So I find that the Wheaton sale has, oops, I just clicked on something. So the Wheaton sale this year is on April 27th. And this is a really good sale because it has a really good selection. It's in person, and they have the cheapest prices, at least that I think they do. The one downside is you have to get there early. You see right here, they start at 8:30 in the morning. People start lining up outside the building before 8:30. So if you want to get a good, if you want to get something specific, it's just get there early. And also you should bring your own boxes to carry your plants home in. And then another in-person sale that I really like is the DuPage Forest Preserve sale. And then this year, that one is going to be Thursday, May 16th through Saturday, May 18th. You can't pre-order plants, but starting on April 1st, you can go online and buy a ticket to shop one day early on May 16th. So right here, there's a link to, you can get to it won't open until April 1st, but you can buy a ticket and then that allows you to go early on Thursday to have first choice of picking out the plants. And then the sale opens up to the public on May 17th and May 18th. And by Saturday, so this sale is very popular. They have really good plants, and the plants sell out fast too. So try to get there early on Friday. They'll still have plants available. It's just on Saturday, it's just that the selection, like some of the very popular things go fast. So let's see. Sorry about that. There's also other events too that we list on this page. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Scares. They have a growing green market on May 4th. So let's go to May 4th right here. And that's kind of a fun sale to go to. There's a few vendors with native plants that they have for sale. And then there's a lot of other people selling organic vegetables, compost, rain barrels, workshops, and things like that. So it's just kind of a fun event. And then Nanette was talking about kits that you can get on Prairie Moon Nursery. The Conservation Foundation this year, they have they have a sale. They have a pre-order where you can pre-order native plant kits. And these include a pollen. Let me see. I'm going to find their sale. They are Conservation Foundation. Here we go. So the Conservation Foundation, the sale is on May 11th in person, but they have a pre-order date, which I think is in April. Let's see, right here. So on April 15th, if you're a member of the foundation, you can start ordering kits. And then on April 16th through April 19th, you can pre-order kits. And those are, they have a butterfly pollinator garden kit, a front yard border garden kit, and a full sun partial shade kit that you can order online. So, and then another sale, if you prefer to have your plants delivered to your house, one at the beginning over here, the Lake County one, you can actually, this sale for Lake County is online, and it's available was available from March 11th all the way to December 1st, and it's actually through Possibility Place Nursery's website. So that's one of the websites that Nanette was talking about. So that's kind of a nice sale to order. So you can have it, they will ship it directly to your house. So I haven't talked about every sale on this list. I encourage you to take a look at the entire list to find sales that work best for you. And then at the bottom of this page, we also have two other native plant links to two other native plant sale lists that are compiled by other organizations. And so you might want to take a look at these to see if there's any sales that we might not have listed on our page. So now, in addition to our native plant sales page, we have a native plant nurseries page. And this lists lists a bunch of nurseries where it's not time dependent, where you have to order at a specific time of year for the native plant sales. So I like to order from nurseries too. They're nice to order from because you don't have to worry, like I said, about the specific dates to order. And then sometimes, like after the sales are over, I think of plants that I'd like to purchase. So so then I start heading over to the native plant nurseries page. And one of our members, Bruce Blake, has a nursery, Prairie Wind Native Plants. So let me scroll down. These are all alphabetical. So this is the nursery, Bruce's nursery. And I order plants from him every year. He's very knowledgeable and he has the best prices on his plants. He has a website. So if you click here, you would go to his website. And on there, he lists, he has Forbes, and then he has a page for grasses. So he has all of the lists here. And so for him, it's best if you call him or email him with, what plants you're looking for. And then you can, he'll let you know if they're in stock and then arrange a pickup time. He'll give you his address and you guys can arrange to pick up the plants. And like I said, he has really good, he has very cheap prices. And then another nursery that's great is if you want to go in person, is the Growing Place, and they have two locations, one in Naperville and one in Aurora, and they sell plants other than natives, but they have a good selection of native plants, and the people that work there are very helpful, so they'll help you find where they're located. And then Nanette, I also order from Prairie Moon Nursery, and I also order from Prairie Nursery. So Nanette talked about these different places. Their links for the sites that she was talking about, like Midwest Ground Covers, you can go here. We have the link here. So if you forget what it is, just come to this page. And then we also have Prairie Moon Nursery, where that was one of the others that she talked about. And then let's see, Possibility Place is also listed on here, over here. And then Prairie Nursery, that's another great nursery too, that you can order online, and they also have kits to order from. So, and they have little diagrams that show you where to place them. So another thing I'd like to point out is on this page, the websites and the catalogs for all of these nurseries, they have a lot of valuable information in the catalogs and on the websites too. So if you want to learn more about insect and wildlife interactions, suggestions for good beginner plants and stuff like that, just start browsing these different resources. And then I also wanted to say, if anyone has a favorite plant sale or nursery, listed in the chat. I've only highlighted my personal experiences. I haven't had the chance to visit or order from all of these organizations myself. And that's about it.
Wendy,
Yes.
can you go back to the plant sales, the native plant sales for a moment?
Sure. Okay.
All righty. Oops, you're not there yet. And then go
Yeah.
down to the May 17th Forest Preserve one.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, and actually click on Forest Preserve District Native Plant Sale
Okay,
and show the list. You can show that there is a list of the plants,
yes.
so people can see, and many of these plant sales will have the list of the plants they carry, the height, the spread, but also the prices, the size of the container, and then the prices. So that can also help people decide, oh, do I want to go there? Oh, no, Schaumburg has the plants I want. So most of these will list the plants that they're selling. Thank you.
Oh, sure. And also too, on the website, we try to like, so here, if you click here, there's a list of the plants. Here's like a link to the list of the plants too. So you can go here and look for them, but we do try to put the catalogs and the lists on this page too, so you can look at the prices. So, all right. Anything else?
Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question for Wendy. I know that it's probably overwhelming, all of this information that you can find on the website. And isn't that true of the internet in general? You start clicking on something, you start finding links to other things, and before long, you're immersed in information. But it's on our website. Your starting point can be right on our website. You don't have to remember addresses of nurseries. You can just go and start with ours. At this point, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. The chat's not being used that much. I'm going to start going through the questions that were emailed in. And as we work through there, I would appreciate it at certain points if people have something that they would like to add from their personal experience in the answer to a question, unmute yourself and share. Okay, so the first question that I have is kind of a basic one that you may run into someday yourself. This person asks, any idea how to work with Illinois American Water to restore plantings once they do a permanent repair of the water main? Well, what I suggest is that you call that utility and ask. Any utility company has the right to dig up in public easement to get to their equipment or their lines. And that's more than just the water company. There's all sorts of things underground there, electric, gas, cable TV, phone lines, sewer, etc. I've seen some utilities cover their hole with black dirt and spreads grass seed. And I've also more commonly seen them spread sod.
Right. I would like to add to that. And I had this happen in my yard when they destroyed a whole area that had been planted in prairie, and I would not let them restore it because that's what they were going to do. Just throw sod in there. And I said, you just leave it alone and I will take care of planting it.
That's great advice, Pat. I think you should always assume if it comes to your garden may be partly destroyed by somebody.
Yep.
And it might even be on your property, not in the easement, because you need work done for some reason or another. And call them and tell them that you will restore it if they just put the hole back, put the dirt back in the hole, and you'll take care of it.
I had some work done on the gas line. My gas meter was defective. For a whole week in the winter, we didn't have any hot water in the house. We thought it was the hot water heater, but it turned out to be the gas line. And so they dug up where the valve was buried underground out on the parkway, which is outside of my fence. but then, and I thought, they said they were gonna replace the whole gas line from the street to my house, and that still has not been done. They came and they put dirt down and seeded the area where they had dug up the hole. And that seems to be the end of it as far as they're concerned. So, I mean, they didn't tear up any native plants, but they still didn't do what they were supposed to do. You know, who knows? I tried talking to them and they didn't get anywhere.
Keep trying, maybe. One thing I'd like to warn people of too is a lot of times there's above ground utility boxes that you might plant your natives near. Try not to get them too close, especially if they're tall, because just to make it easy for the workers, if they have to come out and maintain something in that box, they don't dig in your yard, they just open up the box. But if they can't get to it because you have too many tall plants in their way, there could be trouble. And you don't want trouble. Next question here, it actually is from the same person. Asking for suggestions of a native shrub, maximum height 4 feet by 4 feet. Doesn't want any yellow flowers, but it's going to be located between 2 driveways. And I wanted to have people just unmute and see if you have a suggestion for this person or an opinion on this question. What's a good native shrub? Small, because it's only 4 feet by 4 feet, but it's going to reside between 2 driveways. Anybody? Well, here's my opinion on this. You have to determine, we can't actually, yes, somebody says in the chat to try grasses. I would suggest short grasses because tall grasses will spread and eventually flop over and block a driveway. Something like little blue stem might be a good choice, but it's not a shrub, it's a grass. You could try, it depends now on your if you can go to these websites that Nanette went through and type in there, is it sunny, is it shady, is it wet? Often, you know, these are things that need to be known, that would determine the type of soil, the type of conditions will dictate what kind of a shrub might work there. But for sure, I think you could find things. Anyone?
You could put in lead plant. Can you hear me?
Yes, lead plant.
Lead plant is a really pretty one. You could put in cactus. How about prickly pear cactus if it's sunny? That doesn't get very high at all and has beautiful yellow flowers. Or you
No,
said
it
no
does
yellow.
not want yellow flowers.
And it also has edible prickly pears on it in the fall. Lead plant, and New Jersey tea is another short one. And the prairie willows, I have prairie willows, and when they're full grown, they're only about 4 feet. So, and you could, I guess, prune them shorter if you wanted them shorter than 4 feet.
Yeah, almost any shrub you could prune to keep it within a certain height. I'm going to move on to the next question that came in, asking about what low-growing, salt-tolerant, full sun native plant might survive in a parkway adjacent to a busy road. this is a good one because I was researching this about 15 years ago, and I planted some plants that were on lists of salt tolerant, and some worked and some didn't work so well. But one thing that was not on the lists was prairie dropseed. And actually, it has been thriving. And where it is right where the snowplow pushes all the snow off the road and dumps it right there. So it's all full of the salt mixture from the road, and they are doing very well. But everyone's parkway is different, so you really have to maybe try several things to see what works. Here's a couple more that I've had good luck with, and that's Nodding Wild Onion. Is a short plant and it spreads on its own. You could plant that there. Alum root is another one that has worked for me. And little blue stem works well in that environment. Would like, if anyone else has anything, please feel free to open your mic, unmute yourself and say what has worked for you.
Okay, Rich, a couple other things. Asclepias tuberosa, butterfly weed, is salt tolerant.
They might be a little too high.
Okay, columbine is also salt tolerant.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yarrow is salt tolerant. I'm thinking of, I mean, I don't know how short, absolutely short they want. And certainly some of the asters are salt tolerant.
Yes, and I was going to mention asters. They've done very well for me, but they are tall. With a parkway, since they say it's on a busy road, I'm assuming there's no parking right there.
The aromatic aster is not really tall.
Aromatic aster.
Yep.
But in general, in a parkway, if people are parking their car, they're going to get out of their car and step on whatever's there. So know that might happen. It can't be too tall, but it has, maybe if that is the case, you want stuff that people won't kill if they step on it. But otherwise, some of the other things I found on lists were wild petunia, wild geranium.
I have a suggestion. This is Pat Clancy.
Yeah.
We took out our swimming pool and needed to seed the area, and we want to use it for, party space. So I found this No-Mow lawn seed mix at Prairie Nursery, and it's a fescue. It's not fully grown yet, so I mean, it's just really short right now, but I think the picture shows that it gets about 4 to 6 inches tall, and it kind of waves and lays down, and you can mow it if you want to, but they recommend only mowing it like twice a year, and it has a dense root system to inhibit weed growth. So it was like $7.95 for, how many pounds is that? There's a staple in here. Anyway, probably 40 pounds or something.
Is that supposed to be salt tolerant?
Salt tolerant, I don't know. Needs mowing only once or twice a year. Once fully established, No-Mow requires very little water due to a large root system that also serves to inhibit weed growth. Drought tolerant.
A lot of the grasses are sort of salt tolerant. You think about how they're growing along all the all the freeways and stuff.
Well,
I
this
would think
says,
that, I think the fescue, as I'm sure they use that up in Michigan.
yeah, these are fescues, a blend of cool season fescue grasses. Grows actively in spring and fall. Well, it's on Prairie Nursery's website, so that's, if you want to read all the details, you can. And I bought cost me $7.95 to buy 19 pounds, 5 to 19 pounds. Okay. I bought 7 pounds.
Well, anyone else? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next
What-
question.
One other suggestion, Rich, if the concern is they just want something that people can walk on and step on, is barren strawberry. It's really a ground cover. It's extremely tough and you can walk all over it. It is salt tolerant. It would be an alternative to grass. You could put that, the person could put that along the edges for like the first foot or two and then have some other more desirable natives that might be a little taller, a little beyond that. So that could be right along the edge of the road on the parkway.
Is that the native strawberry?
Yeah,
No,
barren strawberry is native. If you go to Grow Native, it's Waldsteinia.
yep.
Okay,
possibility.
well, there's a lot of suggestions there.
There's a question in the chat that we haven't addressed.
Well, Rich is getting to those.
Okay.
read those. I've been trying to monitor both. Question, what's an alternative to a hedge between driveways? You mean a hedge type thing? I would think any kind of a shrub.
Or grasses.
Yeah,
Question I'm looking at is asking about
oh, that's in the Q&A.
underground wires. If you, is it safe to plant prairie plants over underground wires?
Yes, the question is that there's Julie came by and put little flags down to show where things are underground. Is it safe to plant prairie plants over that area where the deep roots interfere? Yeah, no. If there's, I don't think it would affect things like things in pipes, like a sewer or a water line. I don't think it would affect probably anything. The roots would grow around it, but keep in mind that if they ever have to get down there, they will dig that out. They will
Right.
dig your plant right out, and that's that. Most of the utilities are in parkways, and probably the best thing to do is put in the smaller plants, not the real big ones.
Well, I think that fescue grass I was talking about is one thing you could use.
Yep.
We need to keep going. This question I liked because it came with a photo, which I'll display in a minute. And the question is, if you have a dead tree on your property, should you remove it? Should you cut it down, the tree, or cut it down part way and leave part of it? Or do you leave it up? Or do you take out the stump? What do you do with dead trees? And the first thing I would ask And I'm gonna show this. I'm in trouble here. Okay, here's a tree that died, and the person cut it high to leave part of the trunk. And the reason you would do this, well, number one, you can see that there's a vine-like thing of something growing on it, which adds interest. Woodpeckers will go to dead trees and look for insects. I had a dead ash tree in my yard. It was a small one, not a real big one. And when it died, I just left it there. After a few years, I could see it was starting to rot out at the bottom, and I was afraid that it would fall over toward my neighbor's driveway. And if he had his car there at the time, that would be bad. So I did end up removing that tree eventually, but it was up for, I would say, close to 10 years before I had to do that. If your tree was diseased and it died because it had some infection or something like that, an arborist could tell you, is that something that could spread to another tree of yours? In which case I would say you would want it cut down and removed totally. But I think every yard, if it had a dead tree, this world would be a better place. There's dead trees in nature, and eventually they fall over and rot. I wouldn't want all my trees in my yard to be dead. I kind of prefer living trees myself, but I do have a few dead ones, a few dead pine trees, a few dead ash trees here and there. So I don't think they're all that bad. I think they do provide habitat for bees and all sorts of things. Eventually, they'll fall over, or you can cut them over. You can even keep the lumber laying on the ground if you wanted. But does anyone else have an opinion on this, on dead trees in their yard?
Yeah, I have some dead trees. I have one on the parkway. It's right on the fence line, and it's the cherry tree. And the utility company years ago, ComEd came by and they pruned it so to take off the branches that interfered with their lines that go down my side of the street, but they didn't take the whole tree down. And recently I had one of my neighbors mention it to me. Oh, why do you have that dead tree? And I said, well, I noticed that there are a lot of birds sitting up in that tree, and even the hawks sit up there, and the hawks take off from that tree and hunt in my yard for voles and things like that. On the other hand, I have another dead tree on the other side of the yard, and I never see any birds sitting on it. So I'm tempted to take that one down because nobody's using it, But I guess, if you observe that the birds are using it, or of course the squirrels will always be using it, but some of them have more value than others maybe. But I think they add to forests have dead trees, right?
That's right. Anybody else like to keep dead trees? I'm
There
sure
are
there's a
many-
lot more than are admitting it.
I like to
Rick-
keep dead trees.
Yeah.
Richard, just a couple of comments on dead trees. Yes, they are very beneficial, as you mentioned, host plant for overwintering
Insects in the bark.
bumblebees in particular, and woodpeckers and things. And that stump is a good example where it's not going to be having a lot of negativity to it. One thing that you do need to be aware of with dead trees is, depending upon the size and the branching, they can be roosting spots for birds, which can be a negative thing in the sense that you get a lot of seeds defecated around that, and you wind up with a lot of invasives like buckthorn or Callery pear and things like that. So stumps are great, like that tall standing stump or things like that. But when you have a lot of branching, you will get a setting, roosting spot temporarily, and you can wind up with a lot of invasive species underneath it. But I think those people with their tall stump should leave it.
Thanks, Nanette. Same person asked this question. To define, you look in the catalogs, it says sunny, shady, wet. It says part sun. She's always heard that part sun is a minimum of 6 sunny hours per day. Can part sun be considered dabbling sun coming through trees for 6 hours, or does it have to be full sun for 6 hours? Could it be 2 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, for example? How would you define part sun to this person?
Okay, on the dappled, so if sun coming through filtered trees, that would be considered more part shade. And it can be confusing, but part sun can also be, you've got sunshine from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Or some portion thereof. But full sun is 6 hours or more. That is horticultural speaking and grading of plants.
I've noticed that a lot of the catalogs don't restrict themselves to just part sun. That you'll see as sunny or part sun, or you'll see 2 or 3 different symbols for the level of sunlight that it has. You know, sometimes you'll see a plant that's just only sunny, and you know that that's like a prairie plant. But the part sun, part shade seems to be, can be a little forgiving if it ends up in a place that's not absolutely perfect for it. Now here's a question, and I certainly don't want to get into it for this. Answer could be very long, but does anyone have any thoughts on the use of Roundup? I've used Roundup. I used it. I wanted to see if it would kill grass, and I hired a person to spray it on a grassy area, not a real big area, but about 6 feet by 15 feet in area, and it kills grass all right. But you have to know what you're doing if you're using a sprayer. The big uses of Roundup are more on large jobs, the forest preserve or some organization like that's trying to eradicate invasives. I use it now only on buckthorn stumps, a buckthorn that I cut down.
That's my use. I constantly am fighting with baby trees coming up from all the seeds all around of all the trees. And so cutting them off at the ground level and using a paintbrush, a fine paintbrush, and paint the stump immediately is the only way that I use Roundup. I would not spray it or dribble it anywhere, but you have to, if you just cut them down, and I have a lot of rose bushes and things coming up in my prairie and trees so that I don't want them. And so I cut them off and take the paintbrush. I take a little jar of Roundup and dip it in and just dab it on the thing.
On the bare cut.
On the bare cut. And you have to do it right away because it'll begin to seal over.
Yeah, I have those little sponge top bottles.
Yep.
You put the Roundup in the bottle and just
And you
dab
just,
it on the cut stump.
that's another way, so that you're not dripping it all over the place. You're being very careful with where it goes.
I'm worried. I do want to get rid of the crabgrass that's growing in my native garden though. And there's whole sections where it's going to be really hard to dig it out. And I haven't decided what kind of, it seems like there's a whole patch and I would like to just spray it, with a little pump bottle, not a big sprayer, because it's in among other plants. So I don't know. I haven't done it yet.
How about just laying a big raw brick on it and tarp and stuff, killing it
Yeah.
off that way?
I could try that. Yeah.
Cardboard and rocks.
Cardboard. Yeah. That works.
Okay,
Yeah.
a couple of comments I'm going to make on Roundup. To keep in mind that it is a non-selective herbicide, which means that it will kill everything, whereas there are some things that are broadleaf herbicides, which only are going to kill broadleaf. That's what a lot of lawn companies are using to treat your grass. Roundup is, as you mentioned, used by the Forest Preserve for killing off buckthorn and other invasives, and the best time to do that is to treat in the fall. Sometimes it's only when whenever you can do it, but the best time is to treat in the fall when all the plant's energy and things are moving down into the roots. Roundup can be very effective, but it is important that people, take time. Don't just go out there and think you can just spray everything. If you have a dripping sprayer or whatever, you're going to wind up with a lot of dead spots in your lawn or in your flower beds. So Roundup has gotten a bad rap. Active ingredient is glyphosate, but it is a very effective herbicide. However, you need to take care, read the label, wear proper safety equipment, and you can be successful. If you're uncomfortable with it, then it's time to hire somebody to use it. Thank you.
It's not for everybody, obviously.
Somebody's asking
something
about
else
outweed and saying that the Roundup didn't work on the chat. I don't know what to tell her.
I can say I have just used salt also on stumps. When they start sprouting, I use salt. Just pile a whole bunch of salt on it.
These questions about Roundup seem to come up fairly often. Moving on to the next question. This is a very interesting one. It says, some of the people I know are lifelong avid gardeners, but are looking for something that is easier to maintain as they are getting older. They are replacing perennial beds with shrub borders. Okay, well, it's not written in the form of a question, but it's really two areas of concern. The use of shrubs, I think, is part of it, and also, what do you do about making a native garden easier to maintain as one gets older? The first part, we already talked a little bit about shrubs earlier. The benefits of shrubs are, there's native shrubs, there's native trees, there's native forbs. These are all native plants. They're all have the same uses as far as benefits to nature, to birds especially, to insects. And so if a perennial bed gets too hard to maintain, I mean, if you have back issues or something like this and you just can't maintain your yard anymore, rather than just let it go or replace it with non-natives, that's a good idea to put in shrubs. You should have everyone should have shrubs on their yard anyway. But I was wondering, does anyone know or thought about this, is how to maintain your yard as you get older? Is it getting too much? Certainly you can hire somebody to do it, and we're going to have a company that maintains yards give a presentation this fall about how to maintain your yard. Does anyone know of any special tools available for older people, for instance? I don't know if there's any special tools other than a shovel.
Oh, I have that little pointed wedge-shaped shovel. They sell them at Wanamaker's, and I don't know where else. Wanamaker's is in Downers Grove, Illinois. But it's, I don't know, it seems to be easier than using a regular spade. And
Is it a real narrow shovel-like thing then?
it's, well, it comes to a point at the bottom, and not a point exactly, but it's narrower at the bottom than at it's got a handle, and then it's got a little ledge that you can step on, and the shovel blade itself is narrow at the bottom. Just a couple inch, maybe 2 or 3 inches wide at the bottom. So it's, easy to push into the ground. Of course, it doesn't have a big capacity for lifting up a whole bunch of dirt at one time,
Like a shovel.
like a great big shovel, but I find it handy for digging a hole, if I'm going to plant things.
In the chat, someone has also listed an example of a particular hoe that's you can use standing up, and it helps you do weeding. So if you look in the chat, you'll see the name of this Dutch push-pull hoe. I'd like it at this point to just open up your mic for any kind of question, not just the ones that we've been talking about to comment on, but if you have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim, I live out in Addison, and we're in the middle of the village, and of course, water is always a problem. And I'm also thinking of the pets in the yard. They like to dig, and they all come in with mud. So I find that a lot of high-end landscapers are now using this decomposed granite rock. And I don't mean the stuff from Bearable where they chopped up old tile from the roof and call that. This is the actual granite from out east and out west that they grind up like a little larger than sand, and you can walk on it. You can plant it around native plants. You can plant it anywhere and walk on it, and the water will run right through it rather than pick up on your shoes and bring all the mud in the house. So is anybody doing anything with that? And is there a source anywhere in the area? I find them coming into the area, but nothing in the area yet.
I don't know personally. Does anybody know? Have you, Jim? Have you Googled that for sources and had any success on that?
Well, no, I haven't done it myself Googling, but I'm a long-time member over at Morton Arboretum, and we have some very good friends who have long been volunteers over there, and some of them are already using it. And one has found it very, very good because he is where it drains off the roof of his house into the ditch, and with the decomposed granite rock, you can walk on it. You go in the house, and it's like there's, a couple grains of maybe like sand, but it's better than bringing in a foot of mud.
I can imagine. Anyone else with a question? If not, I have one last question that was a very good one that we'll conclude with. And then our meeting will be over. So here's the question. And then I have I prepared an answer that I'll read. Replacing a traditional non-native garden with native wildflowers was the biggest challenge I had because it was pretty big and in my front yard. I live on a street of typical, neat suburban landscaping. It was a bit scary to go all in on this project by myself without hiring a native landscaper. I was concerned what the community reaction would be. I've since had some nice compliments and have seen families out for walks stop to watch the pollinators and birds in the garden. My questions are, how can we mentor members through the transition to natives, not just technically, but emotionally? How can we make our front yard native garden appeal to others and inspire others to take steps toward native planting? How can we be a good ambassador of native gardening? These are great questions since they go to the heart of why Wild Ones exists. We are an organization that was created to help each other learn and be successful with native gardens. It is why we have meetings like this one, to share experiences and provide a supportive environment where questions can be asked. We hold field trips so we can see the beauty of nature and visit yards on yard tours to see each other's yards and get ideas to use in our own yard. When you visit our website, you will see many pictures of plants, but you will also see many pictures of people looking at plants and engaging with each other. We are an organization of people. In the past couple of years, we've experienced a lot of growth, so there are many newcomers. We want you to be successful so you continue planting and restoring native plants to our urban and suburban landscapes, hopefully for the rest of your lives. I've been in this organization for 30 years and I still learn new things. And it's not just learning about plants, garden design, or the benefits of natural environments. It is also about community, how we interact with our neighbors and how we invite them to learn too. Just being a good neighbor and talking to them about what you are doing goes farther than you might imagine. And here's some advice from a grandfather. Don't ignore children. They see your yard and may notice that it is different from their parents' yard. You want them to appreciate what you have without passing judgment on what they may be familiar with. Tell them about your yard. Show them something interesting. I've never met a child that didn't like animals in general. And telling them that your yard provide animals food, shelter, and a place to raise their babies might be all they need to know, for now at least. Thank you for attending this Zoom session. I hope you have found some answers and got some takeaways. Please use the online resources available to you and continue to ask questions. We have an outdoor activity plan for each month from May through October, so keep an eye on the newsletter. That's all for now. Good night, everybody.
Hey, thanks.
What a wonderful, wonderful way to end, Rich. Really great.
Thank you. It's nice to
you should have some signs, and you should have some signs in your yard, and you should always be out there to talk to people when they walk by and when they stop, especially when they stop. Give them seeds. That's what I do.
Sure.
Let them take home a bouquet.
Share plants.
Share plants.
They're all over
Exactly.
the neighborhood.
That's right. The kids are the answer. Man, they used to stop and look for my snake every day going to school.
So, take care, everybody.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.